Shalom people, this is Brother Laos coming at you with another video. And there's a scripture in Jeremiah that talks about not destroying the old landmarks. And in fact, there's many scriptures in the Bible that talk about the landmark. And in fact, it's in the law that you are not supposed to mess with the boundaries of a person's territory, because the landmark is showing you what encompasses this person's heritage. I submit to you that landmarks can be more than just a metal rod or a wooden stick or cement pillar in the ground that marks a person's heritage, but it can be also that knowledge of that person's history, knowledge of that person's wealth. Say when 9/11 happened, right? Think about all those computers and those desks that were full of papers of financial records that belonged to two people. And I'm sure after the confusion of what happened on that day with those two towers coming down, a lot of people's finances and wealth and heritage either got lost or it was in confusion for a while, because the thing that validated that this wealth is yours, or the thing that validates that this land is yours, was removed. It was taken away. And I like to submit to you that this, to me, is one of the main reasons that white supremacy doesn't want us to study our history. They don't want us to know the truth of certain things. Therefore, they give it this title of critical race theory, right? When indeed it could be evidence that could be used on the scene of a theft or a crime. When you think about our forefathers that were lynched and had many of their property and their family heritage, the little bit that they had coming out of slavery, taken away from them, not to mention the loss of life, which was the most important. The seed line would end right there of that individual if he was a man, or the ability to give birth to children if it was a woman, or even a little child that was coming forth that would be the joy of their parent. They don't want us to go back. This is why the landmarks were removed. The heritages of who we are was removed. And so now that we're waking up and we're saying, hey, we want to go back and we want to see those old landmarks that were removed. We have a inclination where to look, right? So give us that opportunity. Give us the opportunity to not only learn about the things that happened in the past and to pass this on to our children, but also that this, if you're saying that you want equity, allow this to happen, because it couldn't be that if someone came to you and told you, just neglect your European heritage, just neglect the heritage of America. Let's remove all your old landmarks. Let's remove the Statue of Liberty. It's not important anymore. Let's remove the statues of Thomas Paine and Paul Revere and all that. It's not important anymore. They would tell you, no, we would lose who we are. And that's exactly what we have. My problem is, I retract what I just said about let's ask them. I say, let's do it ourselves. Why do we need to wait for them? Why do we need their public schools, which forever have been teaching our children this, which we shouldn't have our children there, but why are we expecting them to do this? Why are we expecting them to be the murderer that's gonna come up to the police and say, oh, by the way, here's the knife that I used to kill, and giving you all the details? What sane person would do that? They're not gonna do that. You shouldn't expect them to do it. Should they do it because they say they're a Christian nation? Yes, but we already understand what Christianity is and what it came from, and the fact that if they was a Christian nation, even they would realize that even in the Bible, Yah in the Bible writes everything that happened. He writes about the adultery of King David. He writes about the triumphs of King David. He writes about the fall of Adam and Eve. He writes about the exhortation of the devil over mankind, trying to exalt himself above Yah. He writes about it all. He don't leave nothing. And so if we took the same attitude, then maybe they should go in the Bible and take out all the bad things that happen and only talk about the right thing, the things that they think are right. Won't we just do that? And then in fact, this is something that they did do back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. It was a teaching. It was called and I can't think of it right now, but it had to do with the God is dead movement, basically. And what they wanted to do is they said, well, look, we don't, because by that time evolution was taking on some weight, and so a lot of people was not believing that there was no Yah, there was no Yeshua. They were saying, okay, so but how can we keep people, because we like the morality that Christianity gives them, but this part about Yeshua, Jesus, and all this kind of stuff, we don't want that. So they came up with higher criticism. That was the name of the doctrine, the teaching, that where they said we like the good teachings of the Bible, but we don't believe in that part about there being a supreme being. We don't believe that. So let's take that out. So again, right, what you will be left with would be the morality, all right, but without the power of the Most High Yah to change your life, to make you into that thing that you calling yourself a Christian or whatever. It's not gonna work. Therefore, we see World War I. We see World War II. We see Korea and Vietnam and all these things. No doubt, though, even before the higher criticism came out, where they wanted to take out the things dealing with Yah, they had the issue of slavery that they was going to have to deal with, in which they said that they were Christians. How could slavery have gone on? So all higher criticism was an end result of all those thousands of years of those that called themselves Christians and all these other kind of things, where it was starting to play out. Indeed, after at the beginning of World War I, people were saying, if all European nations are Christian nations, what side is Yah going to be on? What side is he going to be on? And so after World War I and after World War II and after World War III, a lot of people start waking up. And that's when you start getting all these philosophies and all these things. You start getting existentialism, which basically talks about, why am I here and where did I come from? Because they had lost the pretense of being believers of Yah, because as long as it was putting the facade on, it was okay. But if it doesn't work, and the way capitalism works anyway, if it's not working, if it's not paying the bills, let's get rid of it. Because if we're rubbing the magic genie bottle of God or Yah and he's not coming out and giving us our every whim. And we see that all these nations that were once under our control are asking for their independence. What good is he to us? So now we are now at the end game, where now we are saying, look, we want to go back and find the borders of what belong to us. And so that now, of course, they're saying, okay, we will consider talking about reparations. We will consider talking about it. Not saying we're going to give you, but and I do agree with this point, but they say if reparations are paid to those in America, it can only be to those whose descendants came into this nation as slaves. And I totally agree with that. I believe that those of us whose ancestors came into this country in slavery, we should be the ones in this country to get reparations. If you're from another country and you're a black person, then you can go back to that country and ask them. You can petition just like us and do what we're doing to bring the point that you took away our landmark, you took away that which is ours, and now we're trying to get it back. So I had felt impressed upon to go back to Ancestry.com to try to finish my family tree, because I was thinking on the lines of this, and I would say, they could surprise us. They could surprise us and say, okay, produce the evidence that you got ancestors that were either born into slavery or were brought over to this nation as slaves. And so, I started messing around, and, at first I was thinking, I might have to pay somebody to do this, because, just thinking about having to go to all the different places to get the birth certificates and all that stuff. But Ancestry had, over the last couple of years, has been lowering their prices on these specials where they give you access to all these records all across basically the world. And so I said, well, okay, let me go ahead and do a 6-month one. I'm going to pay the $100 or whatever, and give me access to birth certificates and the algorithm that they have to give you these hints. And listen to me, in the last 2 weeks, just messing around with it. Maybe spending the most at one sitting, maybe 2 hours. I've been able to piece together, at least on my mom's dad and mom, on both of their sides, I have been able to trace back ancestors that were either born in slavery or were close to it. On my dad's side, because that's one of the things I gotta do. I gotta find out who my grandfather was. But on my grandmother's side, my dad's mom, I've also been able to trace her descendants back, where some of them were born in slavery and then someone born close to slavery. So it's there for us, even if they don't do this, because I do believe that it's gonna have to take Yah in order to do whatever it is that's gonna cause them to give us our reparations. I don't think they're gonna willingly, just for yourself, to find out your landmarks. I would encourage you to go on Ancestry and do this and start tracing back, because I looked at some of the places where our people were at, my people were at, and one of the things that I seen when I was going through the records, that it was a lot of Laos in South Carolina, a lot of them. I'm talking about a whole lot. And I talked to some family members, and they said even some of those Laoses, they wasn't related to each other, which led me to understand that whoever the slave master was that was down there in South Carolina, he must have had a lot of slaves, because you know what the masters did, they would name their slaves, sometimes they would give them their last name. So I went up on the coat of arms for the Laos, and in it showed the 2 Laos that came from Scotland, because it's a Scottish name, that came to South Carolina. And the thought occurred to me. I said, you know what? I need to do some research on this and find out who these descendants of these people are. And you know, because I'm pretty sure they came to South Carolina, they had slaves that probably some of my family was on, and literally, if I would find out who they were and if they had business offers or family, I would write a letter and say, I am a descendant of those slaves that you had. You owe me and my family some money for whatever wealth that you gained off of my ancestors that you didn't get. Now, are they gonna give it? Probably not. But what I have done, once I have put it out there, that I understand that they owe a debt. If that debt is not paid, they can't stand before the Most High Yah and say, well, nobody ever came back to me and said that I owed them that. And plus, I didn't. Yeah, I'm telling you the effect that what you did had on my ancestors when I was looking at some of their birth certificates and stuff, which a lot of times some of them didn't have birth certificates. They had stuff, their proof of who they were and when they was born was in the Bible. I even seen it on the death certificate of one of my ancestors where they said, how do you have proof that this person is who they are? They said the family Bible. And also the fact that most of them couldn't read or write. I looked at some of the census things where it told you if they could read or write. A lot of them couldn't read or write. A lot of them, on like the census reports, they would have to write their name. The census officer would write their name out, and then they would verify by putting an X. Do you not understand the progression that was stopped by them not being able to have education and knowledge and everything where they could proceed on with their life after slavery? That you don't think that you're culpable for that when you had these poll taxes and you had all these different things that the landowners would do after slavery, where they told the slaves, okay, I'll give you 20% of the land, I'll have 80%, whatever you work, you pay me back. And they knew that some of these slaves might have put their ex on, the ex-slave would have put their name on contracts and they didn't know. And therefore, that's why you had the Great Migration, where I guess our people got to a point where they understood, man, I'm never gonna get out of this thing, man. I gotta up and leave. Not to mention the ones that got chased out, that was making the system work for them and they didn't like it, and they would either kill them or chase them out. Therefore, their landmark was erased. It was bad enough that when we came here to America, whatever we had when we was in Africa or whatever, we lost that. But then the little bit that we did gain here, they took that away. They took the landmark. Now, they would not like it. They would not like it. Like I said, if an invading force came here to America, and every American city that they went to, they would start tearing down the statues and all these things. Now, we understand with the George Floyd thing, what happened where they was removing the Confederate symbols and everything. But it wasn't just the Confederates in this nation that did wrong to us. Before there was a Confederacy, there was just the United States. And even after the Confederacy, there was still that United States that was doing bad things to us. What if the invading forces of a army came in here and started pulling those things down and said, they're not important. All you need to know is that we're in control. They would protest. They would not let that happen. They would say that we'll fight tooth and nail for that. We will fight tooth and nail for the articles of the Constitution giving us these rights. We will not let them go down. But when we say, look, we want to know more about ourselves. We want our children to know. We want this to be taught to your children. They're getting in an uproar, so it's not important. It's not important because it's going to make my child feel uncomfortable, even though it's the truth. And it's the landmark that our children should have inherited, that you had removed, that we're trying to put it back. We're trying to put the landmark back. We're trying to get them to understand these things. so that they won't be confused, and so we won't be hearing these people getting on these news reports and say, I don't understand how they can be like that. I didn't think people could be that terrible. If you looked at their history, you could understand how they could be like that. You could understand how we could be the way we are when you look at slavery, when you understand that we are a people that still allow ourselves to be oppressed and to be pushed down, because that's where we have been. And they cannot deny the effects of slavery. Yeah, we have had uprisings and different things that have happened, but overall, we haven't rose up like we should have. And that's why they were shocked when the year of return happened in Africa, and so many of us was going. They got scared, and they said maybe these people are waking up and understanding that the average race of people would not put up with this, but because we were under the curse, we had to go up on. We had to go continue on in this thing. The Most High said, "You're gonna pay the othermost farthing," and we still got a little bit to go, but we are close to the Most High, just totally lifting this thing up off of us. If you see all the things that's happening around the world, the volcanoes that's going off simultaneously, the tsunamis, all of this stuff. But what we must be prepared to do is that we must be prepared to let the Most High take it all. If it means that we're gonna lose what we have here in America to gain what we once had, then let him take it. In order for him to restore the landmarks that we had. Because if you look at the lot of the covenants and different things that the Most High made with our ancestors, it had to do with the land. When he made the covenant with Abraham, what was it about? It was about the land. It was, and when he made the promises to the patriarchs, it was about the land. You're going to inherit this land. What did he say about the Canaanites and all those that were in our land before we came into? He said, these people are not supposed to be here on this what? Land. Right? Because this land was slated for you. This land was marked off for you. And in fact, he told the boundaries to Abraham of what the boundaries were. Clearly. And clearly all those other nations knew that. That's why when they talked to Rahab, she said, "Our people have dreaded this day because we knew that you was coming this way, and that the land was yours, and that the Most High fought your battles for you." So our enemies understand that we're waking up to knowledge of what they had removed, but now, because of the information age that we're living in, we can go back and find out where those landmarks at. They don't want us to do it. They said, forget it, stop it. And they're going in not only amongst their ranks to rise up people that stayed in this, but they're also rising up people amongst us who feel uncomfortable because they feel that their only hope is here in America, that they saying, shh, be quiet. We got to stay here amongst these people. They have their reward. They have their reward already. Well, we must never be silent. We must never, because we must not feel guilty about saying, hey, you removed that landmark. That thing was right there. You moved it right here. You know, you moved it right here. It was supposed to be over there, right? And so, again, the Most High, he said, cursed is person or people that remove the landmarks, because just like when they went in and Joshua and Phineas the high priest, they gave the people their what? Their land inheritance and said, this is yours, this belongs to you, this belongs to you, this belongs to you. This was divinely given by the Most High. So the landmark is not only dealing with the land, but also the things that's tied to the land, the customs, the language, all of that, right? It's tied to that. And that's why we got to be very careful out here when we're going around saying different places belongs to us. If you're removing somebody else's landmark, if you're saying this is mine, but somebody else's landmark is there and you removing it, you're opening yourself up for judgment from the Most High Yah. You better be careful of what you're saying. Not only from him, but if you got some people that know, hey, that landmark is mine, that land is mine, and you're saying that's yours, those are fighting words. So we better be very careful of what we are going around here saying, that this place is where we supposed to be, where our land is supposed to be or whatever. And I feel sorry for you, because you're going to have the Most High fighting against you and those people. Because he said, don't mess with nobody else's landmark. He said, don't do it. And so I know it's been a while since I made a video, but different things have happened, and we're still dealing with some things, family illnesses and different things like that. But the Most High is gracious and kind, and he's working things out, and we're continuing to pray. And I believe the Most High Yah is gonna, come in and, restore the health of our loved ones, and just continue to pray that the Most High Yah will continue to pour his judgment out upon the nations for what they did, for removing our heritage, removing our language, our customs, our land, doing all these different things that they did, because he said that we're not supposed to do that. So with that, I'll ask you to leave a comment. I'd like to tell you to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Be blessed.